region between the 11-seed Kentucky Wildcats and the 6-seed Marquette Golden Eagles. Starting lineups for the Kentucky Wildcats: Bradley, Jasper, Crawford. A change with Perry Stevenson in the starting five with Ramon Harris. For the Golden Eagles, James, McNeil, and Matthews in a 3-guard starting lineup. Hayward and Barrow in the front court. Officials for today's game: David Hall, Duke Edsel, and Larry Spalding. Today's game is brought to you in HD TV by HP. Carter Blackburn with Jay Billis. Jay, what does Kentucky, the 11 seed, have to do tempo-wise?
Well, they've got to continue to guard like they have for most of SEC play, one of the stingiest defenses in the country, and they've got to manage the clock. If they have something early in the first 8 seconds, take it. If not, the last 8 seconds. Clock management, important for the Wildcats.
Barrow and Stevenson to jump. It will be Marquette controlling the opening tip. Marquette at large out of the Big East with a 24-9 mark, 11-7 in the Big East Conference. Kentucky, of course, out of the SEC, playing as an 11 seed for the first time in NCAA tournament history in their 50th appearance.
Kentucky going man-to-man, putting some size in Ramon Harris on Dominique James, a smaller guard that has had some trouble shooting the ball over the last several games.
Marquette avoids the turnover on the opening possession. This is Dominique James, the junior out of Indiana, with the dribble drive, and Barrow makes it a 2-0 start.
This Marquette team has breakdown guards, not only Dominique James, but Jarrell McNeil as well. And when Ousmane Barrow can catch and finish, he becomes very valuable to this team.
Already a better start in the 08 NCAAs than Marquette had in 07, when they went nearly 10 minutes without scoring in the opening round matchup against Michigan State.
You can see the pick and roll, and then Perry Stevenson comes over to help. That leaves Barrow wide open. The catch and the finish, and he's going to have to finish over a very good defensive team in Kentucky. This team holding teams to under 40% shooting on the season. That's why they've been winning games in the Southeastern Conference.
Bradley cans a three. Ramel Bradley, the senior from Brooklyn.
Very few players have been tougher than Ramel Bradley all season long, averaging 16 points per game, and he has been an Iron Man. Rarely comes out of the game.
James to Barrow. This time it spins out.
Again off the pick and roll. Barrow open, just didn't finish the play.
The two seniors play the two-man game. Bradley and Crawford. Missed three for Crawford.
A little bit of a quick shot by Joe Crawford. Didn't really have to take that one. That's one where they should have managed the clock a little bit better.
McNeil, tough baseline J. Off the top of the backboard, that's out of bounds. You mentioned the word toughness with Kentucky. Is that the word you used to describe this year for the Wildcats?
Well, there's no question. They got off to a very difficult start, losing to Gardner-Webb, also losing to San Diego. They didn't win a non-conference game against a team ranked in the top 200, but when everybody, including myself, thought they were dead and buried for the NCAA tournament, they fought like crazy in SEC play, went 12-4, and earned their way into a bid.
Kentucky has won 11 of its last 14. Every shot for the Wildcats has been from three, and Kentucky is 1 of 3 from behind the arc to start. James right down the baseline, swatted away by Derek Jasper.
Jasper very good defensively. That was excellent help with a sense of urgency by Kentucky, and now the three by Crawford. Kentucky off to a great start against Marquette.
A 6-2 start for the Wildcats. 6 straight now for Kentucky.
Marquette looking to break Kentucky down off the dribble, but weak side help has been very good and very strong for the Wildcats early.
Matthews off the dribble. That help there again on Barrow in the post. So Hayward on a second chance gives Marquette its second bucket.
Hayward, a key player for this team, averages about 13 points per game. A very difficult matchup problem in the Big East because he's strong and he can also put the ball on the deck, shoot it from the perimeter.
Bradley with the screen from Stevenson, an open path to the hoop.
That's just too easy on a ball screen. Kentucky getting some early offense in this game, being very aggressive.
Bradley has 5 of the first 8 for Kentucky.
Well, the majority of the scoring is going to come from Joe Crawford and from Ramel Bradley. Those are the 2 top scorers on this team. They look to take the most shots.
Jasper pushing the Wildcats. Ramel Bradley, the first-team All-SEC point guard, the senior from Brooklyn. Then Stuyvesant pulls it out against Dominique James, the excellent defender. The high ball screen again. Bradley this time covered up.
Well, you're going to see a lot of that high ball screen. Kentucky, since they lost Patrick Patterson, their big-time freshman, has gone to a more five-out system where they're continuous ball screening side to side, a continuity offense.
Crawford with one to shoot. Jarrell McNeil yanks the rebound. A big key for Marquette. The boards. Matthews stripped inside. Stevenson and Jasper defending.
Stevenson, such a long-arm player, very thin, but leads the team in block shots. Here's the run-out ball screen and allows Ramel Bradley to turn the corner. See, Stevenson's got to be ready for that. He needed to finish that and get a shot.
Good help from McNeil. Now the back door open for Joe Crawford.
A very smart cut by Joe Crawford. Saw his defender come off of him, turn his head, and he immediately cut for the basket. An alert pass and a very alert cut by Joe Crawford.
True to Kentucky's season, the first 10 points of the game from Ramel Bradley and Joe Crawford, the two seniors who have guided the Wildcats to the NCAA. Tough shot from Wesley Matthews.
And finishes through some significant body contact. A great play by Wesley Matthews. There's some courageous drivers on this Marquette team. They take the ball to the basket, and they will seek out the contact.
Tipped out by Jarrell McNeil as Bradley loses the dribble. But Bradley and Joe Crawford, the first 10 of the game for Kentucky. A 4-point lead early for the Cats. First time there's ever been an 11 next to Kentucky's name in the NCAA tournament. It's a 10-6 start for the Cats. NCAA March Madness On Demand is streaming every game from the NCAA Championship online for free. You can watch any game, anytime at the new NCAA.com. Xavier over Georgia 73-61 in Washington, D.C. In Anaheim, California. It's the 11 seed Kentucky against the 6 seed Marquette. The most played matchup in NCAA tournament history, Marquette versus Kentucky for the 10th time in the NCAA tournament. The 6 seed Marquette Golden Eagles out of the Big East. The 11 seed Kentucky Wildcats at large from the SEC. Carter Blackburn with Jay Billis. A 10-6 start for Kentucky. All 10 of those points from Bradley and Crawford, which is what we're going to see a lot of for Kentucky today. Bradley and Crawford, the two seniors who have carried the load.
Well, Crawford averaging 17 points per game and Bradley averaging 16. Both those players have the ball in their hands a great deal and provide a lot of the offense for this Kentucky team. Everybody else works off of them to find their points.
The winner of Marquette, Kentucky faces the winner of Cornell, Stanford to be played next here in Anaheim, California.
Marquette switching ball screens out front. Trying to zone up elsewhere. And this is a shot that Derek Jasper can hit. 60% of his points come off catch and shoot opportunities. He's got more threes on the season than twos.
James, part of the great three-guard lineup for Marquette. James, McNeil, and Wesley Matthews.
And you can see that Billy Gillespie has decided to put size on Dominique James. Guarded just then by Jasper before he switched off on Dwight Burke.
Why do you think the size on James?
Well, to try to get some extra size on him to make it difficult for him to shoot and to finish.
Turnover by Marquette with a shot clock winding down. Jasper pushing Kentucky.
Kentucky is so good defensively. They are solid, they pressure you, and they never, ever give up. They seem to get more energy as the shot clock goes along.
Offensive foul on Ramel Bradley.
And that's an example, Carter, of Kentucky going a little bit too early in the shot clock. Nothing was there. Run some offense and burn some clock. Make Marquette guard you.
And Billy Gillespie you think wants Kentucky to either take the early shot or pull it out and wind the clock down?
Well, that's been what they've done with Patrick Patterson out of the lineup. They've pushed it up the floor. If they can get something in early offense, great. If not, run some clock, make the other team guard. If you don't make them guard, the defense can't make a mistake. And a terrific post-up by Lazar Hayward. That shows his versatility.
Hayward has 4 of Marquette's 8. Crawford fouled by Dominique James on the baseline. Billy Gillespie in his first season as head coach of the University of Kentucky, the SEC co-coach of the year. His 4th NCAA tournament appearance, now this 3rd school, UTEP, Texas A&M, and now the University of Kentucky.
And a daunting task for Gillespie to take over for Tubby Smith when he left for Minnesota, but he has really done a nice job of keeping this team together and keeping them fighting.
Stevenson nearly lost it. Tom Crean in his 9th season as head coach of the Marquette Golden Eagles. Most recently, prior to that, an assistant with Tom Izzo in his 2nd Michigan State assistant coaching stint.
Tom Crean has really built a fine program at Marquette. This is their 3rd consecutive NCAA tournament appearance. That is the most in a row since Al McGuire was coaching at Marquette.
A 10-year run that ended in 1980. Crawford misses the long jumper.
Dude, that's a challenged jump shot there by Joe Crawford. Not sure that was really necessary, even though he was able to elevate effectively over James.
On the post again. Hayward has that one spit out. Crawford the board.
Dwight Burke was in great shape there for an offensive rebound. Just mistimed his jump when it hit the rim.
Carter Blackburn with Jay Billis for the opening round matchup from Anaheim. Bradley feeding still, blocked from behind. James slips on the baseline. Marquette keeps it in play. And the Golden Eagles keep it out of bounds off of Kentucky.
A great pick and roll situation here. Dwight Burke comes over. That leaves A.J. Stewart wide open, but a great basket-saving block from behind. Burke has been Marquette's best post defender and was taken advantage of on that pick and roll, but made a great athletic recovery to block that shot.
Maurice Acker, the sophomore transfer from Ball State, takes the long 2. Hayward gets the stick back.
That's where Marquette can do some damage. Kentucky, not a great rebounding team. Marquette, especially over the last 5 games, has done a great job on the offensive glass. They had a plus 13 rebound margin in the Big East tournament. That included 18 offensive rebounds a game.
The momentum clearly on Marquette's side. The Golden Eagles have come back to tie it at 10. For those of you expecting to see Penn State versus UNLV, Oral Roberts versus Pittsburgh, or Baylor versus Purdue, we'll get you there shortly. In Anaheim, California, this first round matchup off to a tight start between Kentucky and Marquette.
Well, Kentucky shot the ball very well coming out, made 4 of their first 7, but they've gone 0 of 3 since then, primarily because they've taken challenged jump shots, and that's exactly what Marquette's defense wants to force. An important stat is going to be the offensive glass. Kentucky cannot afford to give up second chance points to this Marquette team.
2 offensive rebounds in the early going for Marquette. Kentucky has gone 3 minutes 45 seconds without a field goal, and Marquette will have a chance to regain the lead. The Golden Eagles had the first 2 points of the game, then a 10-0 run by Kentucky. Now we're even at a dime.
Dan Fitzgerald into the game for Marquette. They're going to look to free him up. He's got to hit perimeter shots for this team.
McNeil right down the baseline.
10 of the 12 points for Marquette have come in the paint, and you can see they are trying to attack off the dribble, and McNeil very difficult to contain off the bounce.
Crawford and Bradley have all 10 of Kentucky's points.
Maurice Acker on Ramel Bradley, who is a lot smaller, but tries to get up underneath you to be disruptive defensively. Transferred in from Ball State. Great pass.
Stevenson misses in tight. Got bumped by Hayward, no whistle. And a second chance for Kentucky. Harris, offensive foul.
Just needed a little pull up there short and bank it off the glass. Just took it a little bit too far. And thus far in the game, Carter, Stevenson has had 2 opportunities. Great job and good patience here by Lazar Hayward to step in front and wait for that charge to get to him. But Stevenson has had a couple of opportunities to finish off pick and roll plays where he's been wide open. The first one, he didn't finish, didn't even take the shot. And that last one, worried about the charge, wound up not finishing the play. He's got to be stronger. He's been playing very, very well of late.
Getting a scholarship with 0 skills, how about as unbelievable as getting real Coke taste and 0 calories? Win a $25,000 scholarship from Coke Zero at MyCokeRewards.com.
Marquette running a lot of set plays. They like to run a lot of ball screens, but especially move the ball from side to side. They feel like if they can move it from side to side and get the defense to move, they're much more efficient offensively.
Acker gets the friendly roll. Harris may have had a goaltend if he'd have gotten a hand on it.
You can see the ball move from side to side to side, and then Marquette attacked off the dribble. So they were attacking a defense that had been moving, and it is much more difficult for Kentucky to defend when they've been moved around.
Over 4 minutes without a field goal for Kentucky. Acker strips Bradley, igniting the fast break. Hayward. Fitzgerald there for the rebound and the stick back. More points in the paint for the Golden Eagles, leading to a Kentucky timeout.
And there's the offensive glass we have been talking about. Kentucky's first shot defense has been pretty good. The nice drive by Acker. They are dominating the paint off the penetration, and the offensive rebound by Dan Fitzgerald. Marquette in a good place.
14 of Marquette's 16 points have been in the paint. Jay, a Kentucky team known for playing tough defense, giving up a lot of easy baskets in the early going.
Well, they've got to do a better job of guarding the ball and keeping the penetration out of the paint, but also they have to rotate over from the weak side and pick up that penetration, do a better job defensively. But it's been 5.5 minutes since Kentucky has scored in large measure because they've been taking some challenge jump shots, and a couple of their guys haven't finished inside, most notably Perry Stevenson.
It is a 10-0 Marquette run. Winner of this game moves on to face the winner of Stanford versus Cornell coming up later today in Anaheim in the South region. Another chance for Stevenson. This time he finishes.
An excellent catch and an outstanding finish by Perry Stevenson, and he has been playing very well since Patrick Patterson has gone out. 18 points, 10 rebounds against Florida, another double-double against Tennessee, had 14 boards against the Vols.
Over 10 minutes before somebody other than Bradley and Crawford scores for Kentucky. For those of you expecting to see Oral Roberts in Pittsburgh or Baylor versus Purdue, we'll get you to those tips shortly. Wesley Matthews down the lane, blocked by Jasper. Barrow misses the stick back.
Kentucky doing a really good job on right-hand drives of really challenging those shots. When Wesley Matthews got near the paint, he had Derek Jasper right there challenging that shot attempt. Perry Stevenson almost had a lob dunk there. A nice little step and go move.
Crawford over James. Misses the challenge three.
No, I'm not sure that's the shot. That's a very difficult shot. It's a shot that he can make, but why shoot it with a hand in your face when you can run a little bit more offense, get something open?
The Kentucky team that won 11 of its last 14 didn't get many shots like that from Crawford.
Marquette's really doing a nice job of driving off ball reversal. When they move the ball from side to side, they can really attack a closeout effectively. Very few players do that as well as Wesley Matthews. He's such a dependable player. At 22 points against Georgetown, comes from a family of athletes. His father, Wes, played at Wisconsin, and his mother was an outstanding track athlete for the Badgers, Pam Moore.
Wesley Matthews misses that free throw, but he does have a little more rotation than his father, Wes, was known for during his Wisconsin days. And there's Wesley's mother, Pam Moore. You mentioned the athletic lineage as well.
He was a great get for Marquette in recruiting. Grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, with both parents having gone to the University of Wisconsin. That was an important recruiting coup for Tom Crean and Marquette.
One of the biggest wins of the year for Crean and Marquette was December 8 at the Kohl Center, a win for Marquette at Wisconsin.
where very few people win. Bo Ryan's done an incredible job with that program, and they're very difficult to beat in that building. Another switch off the perimeter ball screen.
7 to shoot. Whistle called by Duke Edsel underneath. Kentucky trying to charge back against the Golden Eagles. Marquette, the 6th seed, a 5-point lead. Plus an AT&T Coach's Corner. That's all coming up on AT&T at the half. Those of you expected to see Oral Roberts versus Pittsburgh or Baylor versus Purdue, we will get you to those tips shortly. AT&T at the half will no doubt have discussion of the Xavier-Georgia game. I think the Bulldogs were thrown off by having 4 days rest before they had to play in the NCAA tournament.
And only having to play one game today. If they had a game tonight, perhaps they would have played a little bit better. But a great comeback by Xavier. That is a veteran team with 6 guys averaging in double figures. Very good defensively. You knew that the Musketeers wouldn't panic when they were down to the Bulldogs early.
Georgia beat these Kentucky Wildcats in the quarterfinals of that wild SEC tournament because of the storm that rolled through Atlanta. Georgia had to win 3 games in 2 days to get into the NCAA tournament.
And Carter, you can't say enough about the resiliency shown by this Kentucky team with all the injuries that Billy Gillespie and his team have had to go through, whether it was Derek Jasper coming back from microfracture surgery, or Jody Meeks with his hip flexor injury, or now Patrick Patterson out with a stress fracture in his ankle. They have continued to battle back through adversity all season long. You have to admire the fight that the Cats have shown.
Ramel Bradley, who hits both of those free throws, told us yesterday, this being his 4th NCAA tournament, this one's special because of all the adversity, the 6 and 7 non-conference schedule, the losses to Gardner-Webb, San Diego, and Houston, and yet here they are playing in the NCAA tournament.
Another offensive rebound for Marquette. Ran a little 1-4 set. Got some great penetration, and Dominique James just could not finish. And Perry Stevenson with yet another block. Long arm, very good timing. The top shot blocker on this Kentucky team.
4 blocks in the game now for the Cats, who seem to be tightening up the defense. Although Crawford gets a whistle in his first personal.
Well, a difficult foul to pick up by Joe Crawford. Jarrell McNeil, so good off the dribble. Just puts his head down, and when he gets you at an angle, he does a great job of going into your body to pick up the contact.
Another block on the inbound. Lazar Hayward gets swatted by Harris. James looking to the backside. Kubion in tight, draws the foul, and David Kubion earns a trip to the stripe.
Very little has deterred Marquette from putting the ball on the deck and attacking the rim, even though Perry Stevenson and Derek Jasper and Ramon Harris have done a very nice job of challenging those shots, and Marquette hadn't really finished many inside. They're continuing to go to the rim.
Could be on the backup point for Marquette out of Maracaibo, Venezuela, the land beloved by the sun.
I think Kubion would be beloved by Marquette fans if he started knocking down some shots as he did earlier in the season. Over his last several games, he's 2 of his last 18, only 1 of 13 from 3-point range over that span, and he's such a good shooter. He needs to see that ball go through the net to get some confidence back. I think Kubion and Fitzgerald, big components of this Marquette offense when they knock shots down.
And yet the Golden Eagles tightening up. Bradley continues that stretch for Kentucky. 1 field goal and now 8+ for the Wildcats. And James with a dribble drive draws a foul.
And Harris cannot afford to foul there. Perry Stevenson was right there to block or change that shot. And you have to have confidence in your help. You can't just reach in and pick up a cheap one, and that was a cheap one.
And that's number 3 on Ramon Harris, the sophomore big man. So he will have to sub out. Something that Kentucky has not done a lot of down the stretch, making substitutions. Michael Porter checks into the game.
It's also the 6th team foul, and the next common foul puts Marquette in the 1-1, and Kentucky a long way from getting to the free throw line themselves.
Bradley, Porter, Crawford, Jasper, and Stevenson, the 5 for Kentucky.
Porter primarily a perimeter shooter. Does not get much inside that 3-point line, but can hit from outside.
A 10-4 start for Kentucky. Since then, the Wildcats have gone cold. Crawford fouls. No shot. Those of you expecting Baylor, the 11th seed out of the Big 12 against 6th-ranked Purdue, Matt Painter's team. We'll get you to that tip shortly.
What a great matchup between Joe Crawford and Jarrell McNeil, one of the best defenders in the country, and Joe Crawford resolute that he was going to get that shot off through contact.
Barrow comes over to help and gets the foul.
McNeil, last year's Big East Defensive Player of the Year, and again on the Big East all-defensive team, led the Big East in steals. In pretty good defensive position, just used that body, and Crawford very strong going into him.
McNeil, a Chicago guy, but his hero was not Michael Jordan. His hero growing up was Scottie Pippen because of the defensive stopper reputation for Scottie.
And he's carried it forward. Joe Crawford, who hails from Detroit, played in high school with Malik Hairston and Tawan Porter, now with the Oregon Ducks.
Joe says yes, he has texted with Malik Hairston, who was his year at Detroit Renaissance High School. Oregon has the 8-9 game versus Mississippi State.
And his brother Jordan Crawford plays at Indiana. So the Crawford family having a lot of NCAA hopes.
Jordan got 20 on Joe earlier this year. James creating off the baseline for McNeil.
They got to knock down that open shot. What a great pass by Dominique James.
Crawford fouled by Dominique James, his second personal. Feel the heat when Monday's #1 drama returns with an all-new episode, CSI Miami at 10, 9 Central on CBS. What does Kentucky need to do to get the offensive rhythm that they had in the first couple of minutes?
They have to keep moving the ball. They were very successful early off of ball screens. Marquette's done a really nice job. Great inbounds play. A little back screen for Perry Stevenson. And you can see the length and athleticism of Stevenson. Not a particularly skilled player, but he has really stepped forward in the absence of Patrick Patterson and played some terrific basketball.
Ramel Bradley yelling at his teammates. Now let's pick it up on the defensive end. Instead, Stevenson picking up the foul, hedging out on James. That's a second on Stevenson.
Let's take a look here. A little on big back screen. And you can see Jarrell McNeil needs to pick that up and does not do a very good job of it. He tried to bump the cutter, but Ousmane Barrow couldn't get back. And a terrific pass right up near the rim. And you can see those arms of Perry Stevenson go forever.
James 1 of 2 from the foul line in this game. Averaging 13 points per game.
One of the ways that Kentucky can continue to find some openings is by setting good screens. And if you set a good screen, Marquette is going to pay so much attention to Ramel Bradley and Joe Crawford. The screener is oftentimes going to be open, whether it's on a screen and shape up or perhaps slipping a screen. I think they're going to be able to find people.
And Jay, because of that attention on Bradley and Crawford, Stevenson has 4 for Kentucky, but those are the only 3 Cats to score in the game. Ramel Bradley, Perry Stevenson, and Joe Crawford.
And most of their offense is going to come off of Bradley and Crawford. Not just them scoring, but setting other people up. They've got to draw the defensive attention of help defenders and then kick it to open people.
Acker, Fitzgerald, and Burke into the game, along with Matthews and Jarrell McNeil.
Marquette switching every ball screen now.
Crawford right through that, help defense to the cup.
And a nice finish because Dwight Burke was there to try to block that shot.
8 of Kentucky's 19 from the senior from Detroit, Joe Crawford. He's averaged 25 a game in the last 3. 32.
Crawford so strong. You can see a terrific crossover move. Acker tries to come over and pick up the charge, but Crawford just able to slip past. A nice adjustment in the air and great body control by Joe Crawford.
And yet on the defensive end, Crawford picks up his second personal foul, sending Jarrell McNeil to the line for 1-1.
Just trying to bump McNeil and change his path on a cut. And Joe Crawford and Ramel Bradley part of a really good recruiting class brought in by then coach Tubby Smith that included Rajon Rondo, Randolph Morris, and they have done an amazing job this year of leading a depleted Kentucky team to the NCAA tournament.
Obviously, with that recruiting class, there were a lot of high hopes. Final Four, NCAA champion banner. It would be the 8th in the rafters of Rupp Arena. It has not gone according to script, and yet, because of that toughness, winning 11 of 14 with a new head coach now, Billy Gillespie, the Wildcats back where they're used to being in the NCAA tournament.
Well, this has to be a very satisfying NCAA tournament for Kentucky because very few people, myself included, thought they'd make it.
Off the Porter missed 3, Dwight Burke yanks the rebound for Marquette. A 15-9 advantage on the board for the Golden Eagles. Stevenson swats Matthews. Bradley running the break. Accelerator the whole way, and he couldn't finish. Jasper falls to the floor, and now a whistle on the baseline.
Harry Stevenson has done a great job of weak side shot blocking. And Marquette going to have to start thinking about using shot fakes and better ball fakes in order to lift up this Kentucky defense, especially near the basket, because they've done a great job of erasing some of Marquette's drives.
3 blocks for Stevenson to go along with 4 points on the offensive end. Trying the lob for Stevenson again. Instead, the second option to Crawford. Stevenson fouled by Fitzgerald.
That time Marquette did a very nice job of taking away the lob, but that meant that Joe Crawford was going to be open for a shot in the corner.
Winner of this game will face the winner of Stanford versus Cornell coming up next here in Anaheim, California. Carter Blackburn with Jay Billis. Well, believe it or not, the most played matchup in NCAA tournament history. This is the 10th time that Kentucky has met Marquette in the NCAA tournament.
And one of the more memorable trips and games in this series between Marquette and Kentucky came in 2003 when Dwayne Wade put up 29 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, and a spectacular performance to get Tom Crean and his program to the Final Four.
That is the last NCAA tournament win for Marquette. This is the 3rd straight trip, but they've lost in the first round the last 2 years.
Well, they lost to Alabama out in San Diego a couple years ago when Dominique James and Jarrell McNeil were freshmen. Steve Novak had a shot to win that from the corner, didn't go down. And then last year, when Jarrell McNeil had an injured hand, didn't get off to a very good start against Michigan State. That game was never in doubt. It was the Spartans all the way.
Marquette didn't score in the first 9 minutes and 40 seconds of their opening round game last year. Golden Eagles leading Kentucky by 2 in this year's opening round game in Anaheim.
Kentucky has really tightened up its defense over the last 5 or 6 minutes.
McNeil splits the D, but turns it over anyway. Bradley, the lob for Crawford. The seniors hook up for the alley-oop.
That I would call early offense. Terrific job by Derek Jasper, not only of corralling that loose ball, but of passing ahead. And Joe Crawford really ran the court.
McNeil tries the 3. The big answer 3 from McNeil, who, as Jay mentioned, missed last year's NCAA tournament. Now as a junior, making the most of his health in the NCAAs.
And coming into this game, McNeil was a really hot player and hit 16 of his last 28 shots.
Fouls on Dwight Burke for Marquette, his second. Back and forth in Anaheim, Marquette with a 3-point edge. The 11th seed Kentucky got off to a 10-4 start against the Marquette Golden Eagles, then had only one made basket in 8.5 minutes. Starting to get the offense rolling now, but still Bradley Stevenson and that man Joe Crawford, the only 3 players who have scored for the Wildcats.
Well, this is the pace that Kentucky wants in this game. It's a game that is slated to be in the low 60s, maybe the upper 50s. if Marquette's able to get this game into the 70s, it's advantage Marquette. If it stays down into the 50s, the low 60s, then Kentucky's got a very good opportunity to win.
So how does Marquette get this game into the 70s when we're at 26-23?
Well, you can't speed a game in the offensive end. You usually do that by taking quick shots, and that is the exact wrong thing to do. You want to speed a game on the defensive end by getting turnovers like that. Great deflection by Lazar Hayward.
However, he picks up the personal after he gets the steal. But Marquette, the excellent defensive team, 6th in the NCAA, is averaging almost 10 steals a game, using that to create the offense, which is what Hayward was trying to do.
Michael Porter stepping the line. He's not scored since the Auburn game.
Porter hits the front end of the 1-and-1.
Porter's a shooter from California with really deep range. He's also a very good football player in high school that was once recruited by Pete Carroll at Southern Cal.
I hear they have a good program. Porter makes it a 1-point game. The 7-time NCAA champion Kentucky Wildcats against the team who won it all in 1977. The Marquette Golden Eagles in a first-round game from Anaheim, California. Maurice Acker missing in tight. Porter loses the rebound, and there is the 5'8" Maurice Acker with the strip. McNeil makes the most of the second chance.
And McNeil with great patience, very good body control, and Kentucky's got to do a better job of not only grabbing defensive rebounds, but hanging on to them. This Marquette team does a great job of getting deflections, of reaching, of knocking it away. Almost 10 steals per game for this team. That's in the top 5 in the NCAA.
Crawford earns a trip to the foul line.
Just a little bit late sliding over there to take that charge.
That's the third on Dwight Burke.
And Dwight Burke is Marquette's best post defender. They don't want to lose him, but at the same time, Marquette has got more bodies to throw at Kentucky than Kentucky has to throw back.
Looks like Crean will put in Usman Barrow after the first free throw from Crawford. So it's Barrow checking in for Dwight Burke, the junior who has to sit with 3 fouls. Barrow, Matthews, Hayward, McNeil, and Acker in the game for Marquette. The junior guard Dominic James is on the bench. Crawford misses the second. Crawford, the only player in double digits in the game with 10 points now for the Wildcats.
Boy, Kentucky is very aggressive defensively. Not a good gamble there by Crawford.
Leading to the look from Matthews. Jasper the rebound. Bradley pushing the break. Crawford gives it back to the senior from Brooklyn.
Oh, what a great diagonal pass by Joe Crawford.
McNeil misses the 3 in transition, and now it's back and forth. Is this the pace that Marquette wants?
Well, they don't want to take quick shots that are challenged, but they would like to get up and down.
Monday, the madness continues with a hit new comedy, The Big Bang Theory, Monday at 8, 7 Central on CBS. All your favorite shows are coming back, all new.
When you talk about tempo, Kentucky has done a very good job of managing tempo in this game. They've taken a few shots that have been challenged, but for the most part, when there's been an opportunity to run, Kentucky has very intelligently taken advantage of it. And when it hasn't been there early, they've done a pretty nice job of running offense. This is not a great offensive team, but it is a very good defensive team. And its defense has shown up just about every night. The only night it didn't show up was on the road at Vanderbilt, where the Cats got blown out by 41. Other than that, Kentucky has done a great job on the defensive end.
Wildcats will have a chance to take the lead. With the second time off a missed free throw, Kentucky has gotten the rebound in a second chance.
Just had the ball knocked long, and now Kentucky's got to use the clock, move the ball from side to side, and get some ball screen action.
Crawford, tough 2. Barrow there for the rebound. David Kubion says slow down. Smaller lineup on the floor now for Marquette, with Kubion and Acker in the backcourt, along with McNeil Barrow and Hayward in the front court.
If they can go at Joe Crawford. Right now, Joe Crawford's got a couple of fouls. You might want to go at him if you can.
Foul on Curry because he grabbed the jersey of Barrow. Not much contact, but he yanked the jersey.
His first 19 fouls.
As many NCAA tournaments do, a lot of it's going to come down to free throw shooting. Who can step to the line and knock down their free throws?
Marquette 7 of 10 shooting so far. From the foul line, Barrow makes it 8 of 11. The senior from Senegal. It was an academic question mark. A lot of teams and programs backed off recruiting him, and yet he's on track to graduate this summer.
Went to Chicago Julian High School and wasn't able to play because of eligibility reasons in high school, but worked out, prepared himself, and has really done a nice job at Marquette.
Tom Crean says he is an X factor for this team in the NCAA tournament. If they can get production out of Barrow, Marquette can be a dangerous team.
And his production comes off the offensive glass, getting stickbacks and playing off penetration and executing post moves.
Less than a minute remaining in a tight first half between Marquette and Kentucky.
Clock coming down to 10. Marquette does not want to foul here.
That's a carry on Kentucky, so a turnover by the Wildcats gives it back to Marquette. Billy Gillespie did not like the call.
49 seconds remaining. Marquette will likely work the clock down. If they can get something quick, take it, but you might not want to go for a 2-for-1 here. Just use the clock and make sure that you get a good shot and then go down and try to get a stop.
5 first half turnovers for Kentucky, only 2 for Marquette. McNeil backing in, finds Barrow, the extra pass. Hayward misses the dunk. McNeil follows, gets blocked. To the floor, McNeil travel.
Boy, there have been some meetings at the summit on this end of the floor, and Kentucky has thrown a lot of them back. Marquette continues to attack the rim, and Kentucky has not given up very much. Their field goal percentage defense has been outstanding.
True to form for Billy Gillespie's Wildcats, 33% shooting by their opponent in this game, Marquette, and now 5 blocked shots.
Now Kentucky can and should hold this for 1 shot. Marquette trying to press up, make it difficult for the Cats.
Shot clock turned off with 27.7 remaining in the opening half. Stevenson picks up his dribble. Bradley there to bail him out. Bradley strong with the left hand.
Boy, what a smart play by Ramel Bradley. He saw the opening after Marquette pushed up on Stevenson and took advantage of it. This is a senior, and great body control to ward off the shot block.
Kentucky is pulled within 1 in Anaheim, California, but it will be Marquette basketball after this timeout by Billy Gillespie. The Golden Eagles will have, presumably, the last look of the half.
This is where it becomes really important for Kentucky not only to play great first shot defense, but they've got to do a great job of boxing out. Marquette, a very good offensive rebounding team.
Dominique James is not in the game for Marquette. Hacker gives it up to Kubion. The look in the corner for Lazar Hayward, and Marquette takes a 4-point lead to halftime. The 6th seed Golden Eagles seeking their first NCAA win since 2003, up 4 on the Kentucky Wildcats at the break. That's the end of the first half with the score 33-29. We'll send you to Greg Gumbel and company with AT&T at the half after these messages.
Gumbel, the action continues around the country in West Region action in Washington, D.C.
In Anaheim, California, it's Marquette by 4 at the half on the 11 seed Kentucky. Only twice this year, Kentucky has come back from halftime deficits to win a game. So Carter Blackburn with Jay Billis here. What do the Wildcats have to do in the second half to come back from a 4-point deficit at the half?
Well, they've got to continue to defend the way they have in the first half, holding Marquette to 33% from the field. Their first shot defense is great. They've got to make sure they grab big defensive rebounds and keep going to Ramel Bradley and Joe Crawford.
Here is the in-game box score powered by CBS College Sports Network, the 24-hour college sports channel from CBS Sports. Joe Crawford leads all scorers with 12 points.
12 points, 2 assists as well. 4 of 9 from the field, and Crawford has done it under intense pressure from this Marquette defense. The great back cut against pressure, spotting up in transition and knocking down the open three, and then on the rare occasion where Kentucky's been able to break out after a turnover, a great pass from Ramel Bradley. And thus far in the game, Marquette has not scored a single point in transition. It's been Kentucky that has been able to run on a couple of different occasions off of Marquette turnovers.
And Jay, as you said, Marquette wants to do more of that, steal and run out, get this game in the 70s. Are you surprised that the Golden Eagles are leading by 4 at the half with 0 fast break points?
No, not really, because Kentucky is a team that plays such good half-court defense that it's much easier to slow a game down than it is to speed one up. But when Marquette has kept their opponents to 65 points or less, they are unbeaten on the season. And Kentucky wants that game down in the 50s and 60s.
Bradley, Harris, Crawford, Stevenson, and Jasper on the floor for Kentucky. Kentucky's 17th consecutive NCAA appearance, 50th all time, and yet for the first time the Wildcats, an 11 seed, trailing by 4 to Marquette in the early going of the second half. But if Joe Crawford heats up, watch out.
Marquette doing a pretty good job of defending the initial action, but just came off of Joe Crawford on the weak side.
Harris gets the steal.
Just the start that Kentucky wanted to get off to in the second half. A score and a defensive stop.
Dominique James strips Crawford. Kentucky gets to keep it. These games in the South region, the winner of Kentucky-Marquette moves on to face the winner of Stanford versus Cornell, which is coming up next here in Anaheim, California.
Now Jarrell McNeil switching off onto Crawford. McNeil, the best defender on this Marquette team. Dominique James with 2 fouls, started off the game guarding Crawford, trying to get up underneath him.
9 to shoot. Crawford gets the stick back bucket, and Joe Crawford, the senior for Kentucky, has 17 to lead all scorers as Kentucky has erased a 4-point halftime deficit to lead 34-33 on the 6th seed Marquette.
On ball screens, Marquette has been helping off of Bradley and off of Crawford. They've got to be careful and make sure to stay with those 2 guys.
McNeil turns it over, a 3-on-2, but Marquette gets it back. The Golden Eagles have numbers. And 3 more on the scoreboard with a triple from Jarrell McNeil.
Boy, that is a big mistake by Kentucky. The Wildcats worked so hard to get the ball back and coughed it up to give McNeil an open 3. When you defend that hard, and Kentucky has been defending like crazy on every possession, you've really got to value the ball. You don't want to give away such great defense.
Crawford now has 19 of Kentucky's 36 points, and the senior from Detroit making the most of this first round matchup for the Wildcats.
Joe Crawford has been getting to the basket way too easily. Neither Lazar Hayward or Usman Barrow came over quickly enough, and Marquette's got to do a better job of guarding the ball.
Only twice this year, Kentucky has come back from a halftime deficit to win. Trailing by 4 at the break, Joe Crawford has led a Wildcat comeback to tie us at 36.
Crawford scored 12 points in the first half and scored them in a variety of ways. And in the second half, off the penetration, off the offensive glass, he's gotten it in transition and breaking his man down off the dribble, getting all the way to the cup without anybody stepping in to take a charge. Joe Crawford has been the offensive star of this game.
Crawford has 19, the rest of the Wildcats 17 combined.
And Marquette has been really loose with the ball, just turning it over like crazy in this second half.
Tom Crean in his 9th season as head coach of the Golden Eagles. trying to win an NCAA tournament game for the first time since the 2003 trip to the Final Four, led by Dwayne Wade that season.
Marquette's been trying to speed this game up, and one of the mistakes I think they've been making is trying to speed it up on the offensive end. They've got to lock down and defend.
James the steal and a rare run out for the Golden Eagles. Bradley strips him from behind, but picks up the personal foul on Ramel Bradley, his second.
That's where I think Dominique James makes a little bit of a mistake. He was way out in front, but he tried to go off of 2 feet and dunk the ball instead of just going up off of 1 foot. And when you go off of 1 foot, you can really use your speed and stay out in front of the defender. When you go off of 2, you're really slowing yourself down. And I think that James could have gotten to the tin a lot quicker by going off of 1 foot for a layup instead of trying to go.
Dominique James has not made a field goal in this game, but 4 points now, all from the free throw line for the junior from Indiana.
He's been well defended. Picked up that second foul and sat out the rest of the first half. Only played 12 minutes, but Billy Gillespie decided to put some size on James, make it difficult for him to shoot over, and it's been really difficult for Marquette to finish plays around the basket because Kentucky has challenged everything.
The lob to Perry Stevenson, catches it too deep. Barrow there to defend. Stevenson has to give it up and turns it over. 3 on 2. Matthews can't get it. Marquette will get it right back, though. Jasper got it, but stepped on the line.
Well, Jasper didn't establish himself before he came back in bounds. You got to establish yourself first. But Marquette with another great opportunity for a layup and a follow, and they weren't able to complete the play.
Marquette shooting just 36% in the game.
Double high screen.
The dribble handoff from Matthews. Give it back to Jarrell McNeil, and now James will reset with 16 on the shot clock.
A lot of dribbling by Marquette. Need to start moving the ball like they did in the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game.
5 to shoot. McNeil launches the 3. Second chance, the offensive rebound for Lazar Hayward. McNeil makes the most of the second opportunity.
Such a tough drive and a really smart play by Lazar Hayward. Other times you'll see a guy grab an offensive rebound and feel it's their province to go back up with it because they corralled it. But he did a nice job of kicking it back out, and the great drive by McNeil.
Jarrell McNeil, who missed last year's NCAA tournament, leads all Marquette scorers with 14 points.
Barrow has been trying to front Perry Stevenson inside, but he's given him an angle to the basket. He should play behind him.
Hayward picks up the foul on Ramel Bradley.
Jarrell McNeil, one of the best in the country at putting it on the deck, and gets rewarded with the soft shot.
Kentucky versus Marquette. The Wildcats have not lost an NCAA first-round game since 1987. Trailing by 4 at the break. Kentucky now down 3 to the 6-seed Golden Eagles out of the Big East. Kentucky to inbound.
This has been a possession game. You got to be strong with the ball because this has been a physical game as well. Barrow playing behind Stevenson now. Smart adjustment by Marquette because Stevenson's not the type of player that's going to make a post move and score over you. If you give him an angle to the basket, that's where he can hurt you.
Stevenson on the repost. James comes to help. So the kick out. 10 to shoot for the Wildcats. The run out screen from Stevenson. Jasper with 5 to shoot. Crawford throws it away. Trying to find Stevenson. McNeil. Oh! The emphatic 2 from Lazar Hayward.
Now that's how you finish a play. With all the blocks that Kentucky has had, with Marquette taking it to the rim and trying to finish acrobatically. Lazar Hayward just throwing it down.
Bradley answers with a less stylish 2 off the glass.
That's so pretty for Kentucky fans. Great shot fake.
James on the dribble drive, fouled by Derek Jasper.
Lazar Hayward running the floor, making a great catch. What a beautiful delivery by Jarrell McNeil.
I'm afraid Derek Jasper is now on a poster.
Kentucky continuing to make it difficult for Marquette to get anything off their initial offense. They've gotten a fair amount off the offensive glass.
Jasper pulled the jersey of Hayward, no whistle. James off the ball screen. Dominique James, tough one on the baseline.
There's a great adjustment and getting through the Kentucky defenders to use the glass. Dominique James is so good off the dribble, and you think you're going to see Marquette continue to try to break Kentucky down off the dribble, see if they not only can get to the rim, but also pick up some Kentucky fouls, because Bradley's got a couple. So does Crawford. Those are the guys that Marquette would like to see in foul trouble.
Harris is sitting with 4. Jasper blocked by Barrow. 3-on-2 chance for the Golden Eagles. McNeil keeps it himself.
Smart play. Kentucky needs a timeout here to stop this momentum.
7-point edge for the Golden Eagles. Largest lead for either side. The Marquette Golden Eagles have a 7-point lead on the 11-seed Kentucky. Back to Anaheim in a moment.
It's been a real test for the committee, not only to sort out the Big East Conference, but for their bracketing procedures as well.
Figure out where to send teams so you don't have Big East teams playing each other in the first 2 rounds. So we have SEC, Kentucky making its 17th consecutive NCAA appearance. An unlikely scenario considering the Wildcats started the year 6-7 in the non-conference. Of course, the high-profile losses to Gardner-Webb, San Diego. Here they are, trying to fight back from a 7-point deficit.
Stevenson needed to shoot that. You gave up a 2-footer for a 25-footer.
Nice tip out from Jasper. Second chance for the Wildcats.
Obviously, you have to pay the most attention to Ramel Bradley and Joe Crawford. 30 of the 38 points for Kentucky. Stevenson with 6. Michael Porter hit a couple of free throws, and that is it.
The 12-4 Marquette run to take the largest lead of the game for either side. 7-point edge for the Golden Eagles.
Kentucky trying to use the clock. Now it's under 10.
7 to shoot. Bradley stops the dribble. 4 to shoot. Jasper to Crawford. The bailout 3 from Joe Crawford.
Well, they make so many tough shots at the end of a clock. You get handed the ball at the end of a clock. It's like giving a guy a hand grenade with a pin pulled out, but Joe Crawford handles it so well.
It's what Tom Crean calls Mayday, but Kentucky's showing off the Mayday shots. Lazar Hayward answers with a triple.
When Hayward plays well, Marquette is very, very difficult to beat. Difficult matchup problem because he can step away and knock down a 3 with ease. He can also go into the post.
The sophomore from Buffalo has 14 in this matchup.
McNeil just shadowing Crawford all over the floor. The best he can do is keep Crawford from catching it in a scoring area.
Trying the screens on the perimeter. McNeil fights through him, nearly got the pick. Knocked it out of bounds. Crawford starts it with the 3. Hayward there to answer. 7-point Marquette edge. Shooting percentage is way up for both of these teams. They're a combined 11 of 16 shooting in the second half.
And Joe Crawford 8 of 14. He's also knocked down 3 of 6 from behind the arc. Dominique James only 6 points. Wesley Matthews only 1 field goal in the game, but Lazar Hayward has stepped forward to Marquette.
3 to shoot. Bradley fouled at the end of the shot clock. It's on Dominique James, his 3rd.
Marquette fouls on number 1, Dominique James, his 3rd personal, 2nd team foul on the Golden Eagles.
The 10th NCAA tournament meeting between Marquette and Kentucky has Marquette up by 7 points, the largest lead for either side, with the 6-seed Golden Eagles out of the Big East. And now 6-point advantage as Bradley and Crawford continue to handle the scoring load for Kentucky.
Well, it was a 1-possession game, but Marquette, over the last 5 or 6 minutes, has really picked up his defense. Got a couple of turnovers, took them the other way. got some easy baskets. Jarrell McNeil has been very good on Joe Crawford, even though Crawford has answered and has been having a spectacular game.
Crawford and Bradley now have 35 of Kentucky's 43 points in the game.
And Michael Porter picking up a cheap one out front. Just trying to keep James from getting past him.
Winner of this South Region first-round matchup meets the winner between Stanford and Cornell, which is coming up next in Anaheim, California. Dominique James, the junior who averages 13 points per game, has only 6 on 1 made basket, part because of foul trouble. He's out there playing with 3. And now Bradley picks up his 3rd.
Just a bad foul by Ramel Bradley. He was right there on the catch, and when McNeil ripped through for that right-hand drive, just kept his hand there and caught him on the arm. Well, Marquette, I think you can see that they're going to continue to drive the ball at every opportunity, put Kentucky in a position to foul.
James fakes left, goes right. Hayward there for the follow, and Lazar Hayward now has 16. The sophomore from Buffalo making it a 7-point Marquette lead again.
Anytime you go for a block shot, if you don't get great rotation by your defense, that will open up the offensive glass. And Marquette really doing a good job of going after second chance opportunities.
Crawford trying to take McNeil one-on-one. Jarrell McNeil gets the poke. James, strip, and a foul. If it's on Bradley, it's his 4th.
Here you go.
It's on Ramel Bradley, the 4th on the senior guard from Brooklyn, New York.
Marquette continuing to take the ball to the basket to put Kentucky in a position to foul. Now watch Lazar Hayward, sets a screen and immediately turns, looks for the ball, and then goes to the offensive glass. Not one Kentucky player puts a body on Lazar Hayward. That is way too easy.
11 second chance points now for Marquette.
One shot goes.
This is where being a senior will benefit Ramel Bradley with all the experience that he's had. Understands how to play with 4 fouls without picking up the 5th. It does put him in a very difficult position, though. He's got to make some choices. He may wind up giving up a basket instead of picking up a foul.
Largest lead of the game right now. Marquette by 9.
An open post right now for Kentucky.
Bradley misses the 3. Jasper battling for the board. Burke gets it.
See Tom Crean over on the sideline calling off the play. They're going to run a set play out top.
To get McNeil. Hitting reverse on the baseline.
Well, this strategy of Marquette of putting the ball on the deck, they've done it all game long. Attack the basket off the dribble, putting Kentucky in a position to foul. Kentucky did a great job in the first half of blocking and challenging shots, but in the second half it has started to wear Kentucky down.
The first double-digit lead of the game. It's Marquette by 11. NCAA March Madness Central, powered by the first ever Pontiac G8, is your home for live look-ins, in-game highlights, and more all day. Check it out only on the CBS College Sports Network. The foul on Marquette's Dwight Burke is his 4th. So the Brooklyn guys have each picked up 4. Dwight Burke for Marquette, Ramel Bradley for Kentucky.
Well, if you wanted to trade guys with 4 fouls, I think Marquette, what a finish by Joe Crawford. The strength he has shown in this game. And it's so difficult for Bradley and Crawford because they are the primary focus of every defense they face. Going right in to Dan Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald just had those arms. The referees will tell you if your arms are not straight up, if they are over your toes, they are going to call that contact on the defense every time.
Crawford's been criticized at times during his Kentucky career for going one-on-one, but it looks like Kentucky needs that out of Joe Crawford right now with nobody else scoring.
Oh, they have to have it. But the first 3 years of his career, he did have a reputation for the ball dying in his hands in Kentucky's offense. But this season, he has really gotten in better condition. He's playing just about every minute of every game. He's done a much better job defensively, and he has been a rock on the offensive end.
McNeil has it spin out. The 14th offensive rebound from Marquette. Ends up in a Matthews miss.
Good job by Usman Barrow tipping it to Matthews.
Crawford again. Canning the wide open three. 28 of Kentucky's points from the Detroit, Joe Crawford.
I don't know how you can come off Joe Crawford. Marquette, when Jasper drove in, everybody came off their men and got into the paint. You can see the penetration by Jasper drew every Marquette defender into the lane. And Joe Crawford wide open and able to step into that shot. You got to stay with Crawford and with Bradley when they're on the floor.
Kentucky not a great three-point shooting team, but 4 of 7 from behind the arc for Joe Crawford. Just 62 threes on the year for Crawford. That leads all Wildcats.
Well, he's been spectacular. Just an absolute rock on the floor for Kentucky.
Bradley has 13. Crawford has 28. The only 2 Wildcats in double-digit scoring. Only 4 players have scored for Kentucky. Crawford with 28, obviously to lead them all with more than half of Kentucky's points.
Well, Perry Stevenson has 6, but it's all been off of Ramel Bradley and Joe Crawford off of pick-and-roll situations where he's been open going to the rack.
Acker running the point for Marquette.
Kentucky needs to get some stops. They can't afford to trade baskets with Marquette.
Jerome McNeil, jump ball called by Duke Edsel. That's a big break for Ramon Harris, who had 4. He would have been done.
You've really got to be strong with the ball in this game. And referees have shown that if you get it slapped at or knocked, you're not going to get that call.
11.5 minutes in, Marquette has only 6 turnovers, most of them early in the second half.
Well, Kentucky's not a team that forces many turnovers. They're primarily a team that is going to make it difficult for you. They want to limit you to 1 challenge shot, but they're not the type of team that's going to force 17, 18 turnovers.
With 3 to shoot, Wesley Matthews gets another big bucket for the Golden Eagles deep in the clock. Joe Crawford. 3-on-1, drawing the defense. Stevenson blocked, stays with it, and another bucket for Perry Stevenson off the creation from Crawford.
Almost a jump ball, but a terrific job by Stevenson. Great presence of mind to go after that ball after it was blocked, and a great catch because Crawford is drawing so much defensive attention.
8 in the game for Perry Stevenson. Kentucky within 5.
That's a catch that Barrow has got to make.
Tougher McNeil, 7 to shoot. Double dribble called on Usman Barrow on the post. Kentucky's fought back to make it a 5-point game. Stevenson sticking with it.
Championship on CBS.
The 6-seed Marquette Golden Eagles out of the Big East have a 5-point lead on Kentucky, but the Wildcats will not go away, trailing by 11 points. Not even 3 minutes ago, and they shaved it back to a 5-point game.
In large measure because of Joe Crawford and a great individual performance. Both teams shooting 60% in this second half and doing it against pretty darn good defense.
Marquette on the year holds its opponents to 41%. Kentucky in the top 20 nationally, holding opponents to 39%.
Crawford being guarded by McNeil.
Crawford gets a step on McNeil. The floater won't go. Matthews ends up with a board.
What a difficult shot, and what a great defensive job by McNeil.
The first round matchup in Anaheim, California in the South region. Kentucky trailed by as many as 11 in the second half, now down 5 to Marquette. Carter Blackburn with Jay Billis. 10 seconds to shoot for Marquette. Hayward, the 3 right over Bradley won't go. And Barrow picks up the personal, battling for the board.
Stevenson came down with it. Barrow tried to knock it away.
Marquette fouls on 41.
Second personal on Usman Barrow.
That's his second 5 team fouls on the Golden Eagles.
Kentucky still needs to go to the glass because they've been out-rebounded in this game. You can see the winner of this game goes on to play the winner of Stanford and Cornell. Cornell's a really good basketball team out of the Ivy League.
How can Cornell beat Stanford?
They got a rebound. They have to limit Stanford to one shot because Brook Lopez averages 19 points per game. His brother Robin Lopez, another 7-footer, all defensive team in the Pac-10. They can play volleyball on the glass if Cornell doesn't do a good job rebounding.
That game is next in Anaheim, California.
Kentucky lifting its offense, putting Crawford in the middle.
8 to shoot for the Cats. Crawford takes it one-on-one. James cannot draw the charge. Jasper, 2 to shoot. Jasper gives it up to Crawford. Shot clock violation. Lead official David Hall says the shot did not come before the zeros on the ticker.
And this goes off the buzzer. And this is a judgment call that's not reviewable, but it looked like it was still in his hands when that buzzer went off and the shot clock went to 0-0. Jasper needed to shoot that shot when it was kicked out to him. He shot faked and put the ball on the deck and then gave it back up. He needs to shoot that ball and have a better sense of the clock.
Monday, the madness continues on an all-new episode of TV's #1 comedy, 2.5 Men, 9/8 Central, only on CBS. Tune in here courtside in Anaheim, California. Carter Blackburn with Jay Billis. 5-point edge for Marquette, trying to deal Kentucky its first round loss since 1987.
And they're going to have to do it over Joe Crawford's great performance. He's played like 2.5 men with 28 points.
Over half of Kentucky's scoring from the senior from Detroit. James off the high ball screen, gives it back to Matthews. Jasper there for the rebound.
Matthews has really struggled shooting the ball. Had some opportunities inside, but Kentucky challenged those. He wasn't able to finish. And that shot way off. On a very well-run play. He had a wide open 3.
Wesley Matthews just 2 of 10 shooting. Porter looking for Stevenson. Now he'll pull it back out. 13 to shoot.
Barrow's getting caught on the high side against Stevenson. Can't afford to give him an angle to the basket. You need to play behind him.
Deep clock again. 5 to shoot. Bradley back to Jasper. This time he takes it. And a whistle underneath off the missed shot from Jasper.
Long shot, long rebound. And that was advantage to Kentucky. And Hayward, an ill-advised foul.
3rd on Lazar Hayward, 16 fouls on Marquette.
Kentucky has turned this game into a rock fight. And that's what they wanted, a half-court game. Try to run when you can, maybe off a turnover or missed shot, but otherwise, use the clock, make Marquette guard you, shorten the game.
Bradley gets doubled on the baseline, fights through it, and the lob for Perry Stevenson.
You said it, Carter, fighting through the contact. That's exactly what Ramel Bradley did. Didn't surrender to getting bumped on the baseline, delivered the ball to Stevenson, and a great finish. And that's what Stevenson's got to do. He's got to have his hands ready.
James misses the 3. Fitzgerald for the board. Dominique James will pull it out.
And Marquette needs to go back to driving the ball. They had their best success putting the ball on the floor and driving it.
Tom Green says run some time. His junior point guard pulls it out. Starts the offense on the side with 13 seconds on the shot clock. The run-out screen from Barrow. James, another 3. Just the second made basket of the day for Dominique James.
And nobody stepped up on that ball screen to hedge or give help. That was just way too easy. James able to come off that and measure the shot and fire it without any blue shirt getting in his way.
16 second chance points for Marquette and a 6-point lead for the Golden Eagles. Crawford covered by James now. Porter looking to the post. Bradley wants it back in his hands. Instead, Porter down to the baseline. 10 to shoot. Crawford gets it with 6 to shoot. Joe Crawford stripped by James. Battle for the loose ball. Still loose, and now finally a jump ball. Cats get to keep it.
Jump ball, ball for the Kentucky alternating possession.
6-point game with 3:37 left in Anaheim, California. Welcome back to March Madness. In Anaheim, California, a 6-point game in the South region with Marquette leading Kentucky. The possession arrow on the inbound will switch to Marquette. Most important number right now, 1 second on the shot clock.
The shot clock does not reset when there's been a held ball, and the offensive team keeps it. So it's going to have to be a catch and shoot. And remember, you can also see a lob to Perry Stevenson up near the rim.
Kentucky to inbound, trailing by 6. So keep an eye on 21, Perry Stevenson. Into Crawford, the catch and shoot. He got it off, it touched the rim. Barrow gets it off the miss.
Boy, what a rebound by Ousmane Barrow. Went after it with both hands.
Marquette +7 in the rebounding margin. Kentucky, another offensive drought, only 1 field goal in nearly 5 minutes now. They had 1 field goal in about 8.5 minutes in the first half, and they give up an easy baseline layup to Dominique James.
Well, Marquette lifted their offense, and James had a wide open drive. Nobody comes down to help, and Marquette has had its most success when they've attacked the basket off the dribble.
After a slow offensive start, Dominique James has 13. Crawford draws the contact, earns a trip to the line.
Well, it's hard to believe there was no foul, either a charge or a block with the contact between McNeil and Crawford, but great credit to Joe Crawford for the strength. There's the contact, and finishing through the contact of Ousmane Barrow. I'll tell you what, you can see the heavy breathing right now on the part of Joe Crawford. He has been a man out on the floor.
Joe's mom, Sylvia, watching her son put on an incredible first round performance, has 30 in the game now on 11 of 19 shooting.
And we talk about players putting a team on their back. And that's what Joe Crawford has done with this Kentucky team today. If there was scoring to do, Joe Crawford has been the cat to step forward and do it.
Jasper hobbling down the floor for Kentucky.
Harris with 4 fouls. Now Jasper switches off onto Dominique James.
10 to shoot. Kubion in the corner. Off the dribble. McNeil. Oh, Mayday.
End of clock execution in this game has been terrific by both teams, especially Kentucky. But what a great fadeaway jumper by Jarrell McNeil, who's had a spectacular game himself. With the clock winding down, swish!
Marquette attempting to win an NCAA tournament game for the first time since 2003 with an 8-point lead on Kentucky. 2 minutes, 11 seconds remaining. Both teams are in the bonus, so fouls on either side will mean 1-and-1s.
Well, Kentucky defensively may have to start taking some chances down this last 2:11. And they also have to continue to get the ball to Joe Crawford.
Backcourt pressure on the inbound from Marquette. Jasper nearly turns it over. Matthews got a hand on it, though.
Kentucky very fortunate. A lack of alertness on the inbound. Marquette going to make it very difficult. That was just a missed catch by Derek Jasper.
Jasper gets it again in the backcourt. Bradley running up the floor with him. The dribble handoff for Ramel Bradley, who's been quiet in the second half. Crawford has not been quiet. Missing the tough 2. But Kentucky keeps it as Matthews then loses it out of bounds.
Marquette did everything right defensively, doing a great job of challenging a difficult shot, but then Lazar Hayward just unable to secure the ball, and the defensive possession isn't over until you grab the rebound.
James falls down. Ramel Bradley makes him. Timeout, Kentucky. Ramel Bradley's 3. makes it a 5-point game again with 1:48 left.
Ramel Bradley knocking down Dominique James, just using that off arm to free himself, and that missed rebound opportunity by Lazar Hayward cost Marquette 3 points off that inbounds play. Right now, Ramel Bradley out of the game, Michael Porter in. Billy Gillispie substituting defense for offense, doesn't want Bradley to pick up another foul.
Bradley has 4 now, another he would be disqualified. And sure enough, Michael Porter committing the foul. That's only his second. And now Bradley will check back in. And that is why the offense-defense substitutions for Billy Gillispie, with 4 fouls on Bradley and Harris, 4 also on Dwight Burke, the big body for Marquette.
Well, the big number there is Ramel Bradley because of his ability to score. He means so much to this Kentucky team. No real significant foul trouble for Marquette down the stretch in this last minute 35, but in order to win games in the NCAA tournament, these are oftentimes games that go right down to the buzzer. You've got to knock down free throws.
James knocks down his first to earn a second on the 1-and-1. Joni Green, wife of Tom Green, and the interesting tie-in there is that Marquette gets the winner of Stanford Cornell. Stanford's head football coach, Jim Harbaugh, is Joni's sister, Joni's brother.
Dominique James knocking down those free throws, a 65% free throw shooter. Marquette in the driver's seat down the stretch.
Jay Billis says to win NCAA tournament games, you have to knock down your free throws. Marquette 14-18. Our Chevrolet players of the game, Joe Crawford with 30, Jarrell McNeil with 20 points, the leading scorers for the Wildcats and the Golden Eagles.
Not a lot of controversy on the Kentucky side about the selection of Joe Crawford. He has been magnificent.
30 in the game, that is 5 off of his career high. He got less than a month ago at South Carolina. Bradley, bumped by James, but no whistle. Marquette gets it back. And now Kentucky fouls in the backcourt.
Kentucky fouling off the ball. Oftentimes that can be called an intentional foul. They were going after Dwight Burke to put him at the free throw line.
Fouls on Jasper, his second. Another 1-and-1 chance for Marquette. Jarrell McNeil has been great in the postseason. Career high 28 versus Notre Dame last week in the quarters of the Big East tournament. 20 in this game, the opening round matchup against Kentucky, and he'll earn the second free throw.
Well, that's a big one for Dwight Burke to step to the free throw line and knock that down.
Coming up tonight on CBS, Belmont Duke, Kansas State USC in Omaha, Winthrop Washington State, and the 8-9 game from Anaheim, Texas A&M and BYU.
Dwight Burke just a 51% free throw shooter. But that one he hit was a big one.
8-point edge for the Golden Eagles. Crawford has 32.
Kentucky just spreading it out and driving it. Marquette cannot foul. They want to try to challenge it, but now they've got to be strong.
Bradley has 4. He couldn't foul, had to ask for help, and now a foul away from the ball. This one is on Jasper.
Now you foul away from the ball like that, that's got to be an intentional foul.
That's Tom Crean's argument.
Well, they will send Dwight Burke, a 51% free throw shooter, to the line again in a 2-possession game.
Burke today 1 of 2. So Kentucky fouling the right guy.
And taking the opportunity. Billy Gillispie has shown he will take some chances, as he did in the Georgia game at the end in the SEC tournament.
That one did not go his way. Still a 2-possession game if Kentucky can get a couple of threes in the final minute. Bradley trying to lean in on James, finds Crawford, then screens for him. Crawford, wow, tough 3 to make it a 3-point game.
Kentucky just will not go away. These Cats are tough, mentally and physically, and Crawford has led the way.
.63 points in the game for Canute. timeouts remaining for the Wildcats. And of those 63 points for Kentucky, 35 from Sylvia Crawford's son, Joe Crawford. That ties his career high, which he got at South Carolina less than a month ago.
And right now in a three-point game, Tom Crean has substituted Dan Fitzgerald in for Dwight Burke, so that Fitzgerald, the better free throw shooter, gives them less options to go after a bad one and get the ball back after a missed free throw.
Marquette 15 of 21 from the foul line today. Inbound to Matthews. James gets it back in his hands. About a 2-second differential between shot clock and game clock. In a three-point game, Crawford commits the foul near midcourt, sending Matthews to the line. Third on Crawford.
And that's the 10th foul. That means 2 free throws for Wesley Matthews instead of a 1-and-1. I can tell you, breathe a lot easier knowing you've got a second free throw, even if you were to miss the first.
And more Wesley Matthews' mother, of course, Father West, the great player of Wisconsin. 2-possession game.
Remember, Marquette has lost first-round games each of the past 2 years. Lost to Alabama 2 years ago in the freshman year for James, McNeil, and Matthews. And lost badly last year with McNeil out with a hand injury to Michigan State in the first round in Winston-Salem.
Matthews gets them both. 5-point game. Shot clock turned off. It's a 2-possession game. Kentucky needs to score quickly.
And they don't necessarily need a 3.
Take it anyway.
What a bad gamble by Dominique James.
Ramel Bradley nails the 3. No timeouts left for Kentucky. Harris fouls on the baseline. That is 5 on Ramon Harris. So a de facto timeout here for the Wildcats with Harris fouling out of the game.
Boy, Kentucky is so resilient. Now watch this gamble. Dominique James takes himself totally out of the play. He was in the Kentucky bench. And Ramel Bradley takes advantage of it. Never panicked, kept his poise, and knocked down a huge 3.
This is not a timeout. Harris fouls out, so the Wildcats get to huddle. Billy Gillespie will take his time finding a sub for Ramon Harris.
Well, Gillespie has done a great job with clock situations this season. You'll remember when they played at Florida. Made a substitution and substituted twice in one possession when no time had gone off the clock while there was a free throw shooter at the line, and essentially iced a Florida free throw shooter without having called a timeout. Did a great job of managing that clock.
Matthews got the last 2 for Marquette to the line again, trying to make it a 2-possession game again. Friendly roll in Anaheim.
And Matthews a 77% free throw shooter, but percentages don't mean as much toward the end of a game where it is all pressure and your heart is up in your throat.
Remember, no timeouts for Kentucky. 2-possession game with 20.4.
Got to go to the rim here. And if you draw a defender, you can find somebody for an open 3.
Jasper trying to get it to Bradley, turns it over. Matthews hangs on.
Wesley Matthews making a big play after hitting 4 huge free throws. That's a tough place to pick up your dribble, but Jasper picks up his dribble, tried to execute a handoff with Bradley.
It looked like the ball went off his noggin on that.
10.4 away from Marquette's first win in the NCAA tournament since in 2003 regional final win in Minneapolis over the Kentucky Wildcats.
Well, even with both these free throws going down, if Kentucky can get down, hit a 3, and then perhaps steal an inbound pass or foul right away, they've still got an outside chance. This free throw's made, still a 2-possession game.
21 of 27 from the line in the game for Marquette. Bradley has it in his hands. Deep 3. Big rebound for Marquette, and it's Matthews to the line again. Matthews and Marquette a chance to ice the opening round win. Marquette appears to be moving on to face the winner of Stanford Cornell. This would be the first round loss for Kentucky since 1987.
Well, just an amazing job by Kentucky just to make the tournament after starting the season 6-7 in the non-conference, losing to Gardner-Webb, losing to San Diego, and what an amazing performance by Joe Crawford.
Crawford's family there to applaud, along with just about everyone else here in Anaheim who saw an incredible performance.
Dominique James in a very classy move going over to congratulate Crawford not only on a terrific game but a great career. You can see the tears flowing for Joe Crawford. Those kids have fought so hard for Kentucky in a very difficult year, and making it to the NCAA tournament for Kentucky this year, and what they used to take for granted, I think an extraordinary accomplishment this season.
Crawford and Bradley said that this one was special. Of their 4 trips to the NCAA tournament, because of the abyss they came out of in the non-conference. But it will be Marquette with the first NCAA tournament win since 2003, a 74-66 win over Kentucky. We'll join Greg Gumbel in New York after this. It's Marquette over Kentucky in the opening round in Anaheim, 74-66, Golden Eagles over the Wildcats.
Greg Gumbel in New York. Marquette holds on and defeats Kentucky by a score of 74-66. They will now await the winner of Stanford against Cornell. We will send you back to the game that you were watching before. Those of you awaiting Game 2 of the action in Anaheim, we'll send you to Omaha, and you will catch the end of the Kent State UNLV game as we continue along the road to the Final Four.